early voting kicks off in two battleground states, Georgia and North Carolina. Right now, officials are working to make sure that those impacted by Hurricane Helene can still cast their ballots. The election is less than 3 weeks away, but many people are still reeling from that storm, which has led to some drastic changes now to the voting process. North Carolina, of course, is critical. Back in 2016, former President Trump won that state by more than 3 points. But in 2020, the margin shrank to only 1.3 points. NewsNation's Anna Koyman joins us live from Charlotte, North Carolina. So, Anna, what are the polls looking like today?
Hey there, good afternoon to you, Kelly. Good afternoon to everybody at home. We are just outside of Bank of America Stadium. This is where the Carolina Panthers play, a pretty iconic place to be able to come and exercise your democratic right to vote in the heart of uptown Charlotte. For the first time in the last maybe 45 minutes or so today, we've seen lines out the door. They had just been sort of trickling in for early voting earlier. I'm a member of Mecklenburg County. I just went in and got my sample ballot. I'm going to go in there and vote in just a little while. And I spoke to some early voters inside, and they said they really prefer to do it this way here in the Tar Heel State, because if you live in Mecklenburg County, you can go to any of the polling places, not necessarily the one that you're zoned for, that school or library or community center. So let's take a look at some of these mail-in numbers as well, because that's kicking off this week of the Tar Heel State as well. 63,000 mail-ins have already been returned out of the nearly 357,000 requested. Now, during this last presidential election, this state saw higher than average early voting turnout. 65% of North Carolina voters cast their ballot early in person in 2020. That's more than 3.6 million early voters compared to roughly 2.9 million in 2016. So, Kelly, while it's yet to be seen just how much early voting is going to be done, polling officials here say that they are hopeful to have a really busy day.
Yeah, as we all are. So, Anna, how is Helene storm damage impacting the early voting there now?
Well, not so much here in Charlotte, North Carolina, but in the western part of the state, it certainly is, where they were devastated by Hurricane Helene. And I was hearing from some of my friends in the mountain area that they actually got a bit of snow yesterday, which is not what you want to hear when you're trying to put your life back together after your home's been decimated. But what election officials are doing is working with state crews to make sure that debris is cleared from all of the roadways that could potentially be blocking polling places. So they're also giving us some good news that 90% of the state's early voting sites are up and running this afternoon. In total, that's 419 polling stations across North Carolina. And with many still displaced in the wake of Hurricane Helene, officials are encouraging residents to request absentee ballots if they are away from home. So far, more than 55,000 absentee ballots have been requested by residents of those hard-hit western counties. One way or another, election officials are confident they are prepared to help struggling residents make it to the ballot box. Listen.
Fortunately, the conditions improve each and every day. And so they are accounting for that, but also working on the assumption of if they do not, if this is the status that we have today is the status on November 5th, how will they deliver voting?
Now, North Carolina state officials are also making exceptions for people who may have lost their identification during Hurricane Helene. So there's an ID exemption form that's being mailed out with all of the absentee ballots. Of course, if you're planning to vote in person, you can also go to an election office and request a new voter ID card there. Kelly, back to you.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.